Did you ever have a bad week? I had one. This is what I did. I thought to myself, I got to sneak away from work. Shh, don't tell anybody. And I've got to go up and do a little deer hunting in my tree stand. So I'm sitting up in a tree stand. And while I'm up there feeling absolutely exhausted about life, I decide to do what I like to do, which is I decided to pray for you and the world. So I'm praying for me, and then I'm praying for you, and I'm praying for the world, and I'm praying for all the people I know. And in the middle of this really deep prayer, feeling really, really good, with a periodic looking at a raccoon or something coming by. No deer, by the way, that never happens to me. All of a sudden I hear a bang. I hear a bang. Now immediately that makes me nervous because the guy's got a gun. And secondly, where I hunt, it's posted. And so I realize that there's a poacher somewhere hunting on my property. Now as I'm walking out of the stand, I'm getting out of the stand slowly, I honestly think I hear God say, Roy, stay in the stand. And in retrospect, I'm pretty sure God said that, and I should have stayed in the stand. But not me, because I know better than God. I'm sure you never did that, but I know better than God. So I go out there, and here what I find is an 8-point buck, which by the way is bigger than a deer I ever shot, okay, laying on the ground dead, and no one else around, and I'm pretty sure the guy I'm ticked off at has a gun. So what's a guy to do? So I eventually figure out this is probably a neighbor, and he came across the land, shot the deer by poaching, then needed to get the deer back off my land. It was too heavy, so he was probably going to call me, which actually all this happened. Call me, tell me he shot a deer on his land, it ran over on my land. What's a guy to do? Can he come over and get the deer? So he and I meet in the middle of the night out in this land, with him now no longer carrying a gun, but with a buddy to carry the deer back with a flashlight. And they're looking for this deer, but they can't find the deer. Now this is a very interesting thing, because he knew where the deer was dead. It was sitting there, and it's gone. Okay, I took it. I moved it way far away. So now we're sitting there having conversations. Tell me what you're doing here on my property. So, well, I called you to tell you that I shot a deer on my land, and it ran over to your land. And I said, well, show me where it died. And he says, I can't find it. I said, well, tell me where it was standing when you shot it. And he takes me, and we're about to climb over this high fence. I'm old, I don't want to climb. We're about to climb over this fence where he is going to show me, on snow, by the way, where he shot the deer. By the way, there's no blood there. Okay, and before we go over, I said, by the way, when you're done showing me where you shot the deer, I'm going to show you where you shot the deer. And he looked at me, he knew it was up, and he suddenly said, I poached on your land and I shot a deer. Now somewhere right after that, I became a very mean man. In fact, I really became a mean man. And I talked to him about his ancestors and a wide variety of things. I mean, frankly, I was evil at that moment. I took a man very worthwhile, and I hurt him. I knew I was hurting him. I was trying to hurt him. I walk away from that experience, him with his head down, me probably having been right. And I said, God, what happened? How could I go from praying for the souls of humanity and acting like an idiot? Or worse, acting evil towards someone that's worthwhile? You and I always live with that possibility. We can do it in seconds. Some of us, truth be told, are really, really good at it. I'm not proud of that day. In fact, I prayed to my Maker to somehow help me make it right. Interestingly enough, the guy's fence breaks down. He has 50 cattle that come over on my land for the next 3 to 4 months while they're trying to chase them and catch them all. So he's visiting me on a regular basis. I handle it very, very kindly. And I both wrote him a letter before the great cattle escape, and afterwards we're still meeting on a regular basis chasing these cattle. And I apologized several times and made it better. You have that part too. Question is, where do you go to relax, and how do you deal with your evilness? Until next time. That train came along. Somebody doesn't want us to talk about evilness. I wonder who. You take care of yourself, and let's look at that part of ourselves. Maybe we have some apologizing to do.